Chapter 1: The Prelude to Chaos. The year was AD 9, and the Roman Empire was at its zenith, stretching from the deserts of Africa to the windswept moors of Britannia. Its iron legions seemed unstoppable, their discipline and tactical superiority unmatched. Yet, beyond the Rhine, in the dense, mysterious forests of Germania, a storm was brewing. These untamed lands, inhabited by fiercely independent tribes, resisted Rome's ambition to bring its civilizing influence to every corner of the known world. Rome's expansionist policies were embodied by Publius Quinctilius Varus, a career politician and military leader. Varus was charged with pacifying Germania and integrating it into the empire. His confidence was bolstered by reports of Germanic leaders, particularly a young noble named Arminius, who had pledged loyalty to Rome. Little did Varus know, Arminius harbored a deep hatred for the empire that had subjugated his people and taken him as a hostage in his youth. Chapter 2: The Betrayal of Teutoburg Forest. The Teutoburg Forest would become the setting of one of Rome's darkest days. Arminius, using his Roman military training and intimate knowledge of their tactics, masterminded a trap. As Varus led his legions into the dense, uncharted woods, he was oblivious to the danger that lay ahead. The terrain became increasingly treacherous, the legions slowed by narrow paths and thick undergrowth. On the third day of their march, the Germans struck. Tribes from across Germania, united under Arminius' banner, launched a ferocious assault. The Roman soldiers, trained for open-field battles, were at a loss. Rain poured relentlessly, turning the ground to mud and dampening the Roman spirits. Legionnaires slipped and fell, their formations disintegrating as Germanic warriors, wielding spears and axes, descended upon them with primal fury. By the end of the battle, the Roman legions were annihilated. Varus, realizing the magnitude of the disaster, fell on his sword. The defeat at Teutoburg Forest sent shockwaves through the empire. Emperor Augustus, upon hearing the news, was said to have roamed his palace, crying out, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions." Chapter 3: Rome Strikes Back. Rome was not a power to take defeat lightly. In the years following the disaster, Emperor Tiberius launched punitive campaigns to restore Rome's honor. Germanicus, a rising star in the Roman military, was tasked with avenging the legions. His campaigns were relentless and brutal, aiming to destroy any semblance of unity among the Germanic tribes. Germanicus understood that the key to victory was not just military might but also psychological warfare. He retrieved the legionary standards lost at Teutoburg, parading them through the streets of Rome as a symbol of redemption. However, Germania remained unconquerable. The terrain, combined with the tribe's guerrilla tactics, made every Roman advance costly. Chapter 4: The Battle of Idistavizo. One of the most pivotal battles of this prolonged conflict occurred at Idistavizo, near the Weser River. Germanicus had lured Arminius into open battle, a rare opportunity to face the Germanic leader on favorable terms. The Roman legions, arrayed in their disciplined formations, clashed with the Germanic warriors, who relied on ferocity and individual prowess. The Romans emerged victorious, but the cost was high. Germania's tribes scattered, yet they were never truly subdued. Arminius himself escaped, his legend growing even as his power waned. For the Romans, the victory was bittersweet. While they had avenged the Teutoburg disaster, they had not achieved the ultimate goal, the full conquest of Germania. Chapter 5: The Price of Conquest. The Roman-Germanic wars revealed the limits of Rome's power. While the empire could impose its will on much of the known world, Germania proved an enigma. The forests and rivers of the region seemed to conspire against invaders, providing sanctuary for those who resisted. For Rome, the wars were a reminder of the cost of empire. The legions required constant reinforcement, draining the empire's resources. The psychological toll on the soldiers who survived the campaigns was immense, their nightmares haunted by the cries of fallen comrades and the dense, foreboding forests. Chapter 6: Arminius and the Legacy of Resistance. Arminius did not live to see the full fruits of his resistance. Betrayed by his own kin, he was assassinated in AD 21. Yet his legacy endured, becoming a symbol of Germanic unity and defiance. For centuries, his name would echo as a rallying cry for those who sought to resist foreign domination. Rome, for its part, learned to respect the Germanic tribes. The Rhine became a natural boundary, marking the limits of Roman ambition. The empire turned its attention to other fronts, leaving Germania to its wild, untamed ways. Chapter 7. Unforgettable Conquests. The Roman-Germanic wars were not simply a tale of battles and betrayals. They were a clash of civilizations. Rome represented order, discipline, and the rule of law, while Germania symbolized freedom, individuality, and the untamed spirit of the natural world. The wars left an indelible mark on history. They shaped the trajectory of the Roman Empire, forcing it to consolidate its borders and rethink its strategies. For the Germanic tribes, the conflict was a crucible that forged a sense of identity and unity, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Chapter 8. Reflections across the ages. Centuries later, the echoes of these wars still resonate. Historians and archaeologists continue to uncover remnants of the battles, piecing together the story of a struggle that defined an era. The Teutoburg Forest, in particular, stands as a monument to the resilience of the human spirit and the unpredictable nature of history. As the Roman poet Lucan once wrote, "Fortune favors the bold." Both Rome and Germania displayed boldness in their pursuits, creating a legacy that would endure long after the last sword had been sheathed and the last shield had fallen to the forest floor. Chapter 9. The Dawn of a New Frontier. With the Rhine established as Rome's de facto border, the empire entered a period of reflection. The Roman Senate debated the merits of further expansion into Germania. Some argued for renewed campaigns, convinced that the tribes could be subdued with sufficient resources. Others, weary of the staggering losses, insisted that the cost outweighed the benefits. For the Germanic tribes, the wars ushered in a precarious era of unity. Although they had repelled the Romans, internal divisions began to resurface. Without a common enemy, rival chieftains jostled for power, their fragile alliances fraying. Yet the memory of Arminius and the triumph at Teutoburg Forest endured, fostering a sense of shared identity. Meanwhile, Rome fortified its position along the Rhine. Massive fortresses, such as those at Mogontiacum, modern Mainz, and Colonia Agrippina, modern Cologne, served as bastions of Roman influence. These outposts became melting pots where Roman and Germanic cultures mingled. Trade flourished with Roman goods, pottery, wine, and jewelry, flowing into Germania, while amber, furs, and slaves made their way into the empire. Chapter 10. The Shadow of the Legions. Despite the seeming stalemate, tension simmered along the frontier. Roman generals kept a wary eye on the Germanic tribes, ever watchful for signs of renewed aggression. For their part, the tribes knew that the empire's vast legions could return at any time. In AD 50, a new Germanic leader emerged, Velida, a seeress of the Bructeri tribe. Velida embodied the mysticism of the Germanic peoples, her visions inspiring her followers to resist Roman incursions. Her leadership, though spiritual rather than military, proved a potent rallying point. Rome's occasional punitive expeditions met fierce resistance under her influence, though none matched the scale of the earlier wars. This uneasy balance persisted for decades. The Romans built roads and fortifications, seeking to solidify their grip on the frontier. The tribes, fiercely independent, resisted any attempt at assimilation. Though the wars had subsided, the Rhine remained a symbol of two worlds locked in a perpetual state of mistrust. Chapter 11. The Gathering Storm. By the late 2nd century, the Roman Empire began to face threats from multiple directions. The Parthians in the east, the Picts in Britannia, and the ever-present Germanic tribes all tested Rome's resilience. The Marcomannic Wars, AD 166 to 180, erupted as Germanic and Sarmatian tribes launched incursions into Roman territory. Unlike the earlier wars, these conflicts spilled across the Danube and into Roman provinces. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius personally led campaigns to repel these invasions. His meditations, written during the campaigns, provide a glimpse into the mind of a ruler burdened by war. Though Rome achieved temporary victories, the Marcomannic Wars highlighted the empire's vulnerabilities. In Germania, the tribes continued to evolve. Contact with Rome had introduced them to new technologies and tactics. Iron weapons became more prevalent, and some tribes even adopted Roman-style fortifications. This gradual transformation hinted at a future where the balance of power might shift.